When were you born?
The 24th of the 12th, 1940.
Okay, where were you born?
In Cashel.
What hospital? Or
At home, in Ladies Well Street, Cashel.
What parish did you live in? And can you describe the area?
The parish of Cashel. I lived in the town, just under the rock of Cashel, which was a lovely place to live. And it was very quiet in those days.
Did you have any friends back then?
Of course I had, yes.
Where did you like to play with them?
We played up the rock. We were allowed to go up the rock in those days. And you could play around up the rock on the cliffs, and we were allowed inside the rock, and we could go up on the square castle without being supervised.
I guess it's not like that anymore.
No, it's not.
Did you have any favourite games back then?
Yes, a game called Rounders and Betchel.
And how do you play Betchel?
Betchel, you just drew squares on the street and you marked them, like we'll say 1 to 10 or 1 to 8, and you hopped on one leg from one to the other, from one square to the other.
Did you have a very unusual house, or was it the same as everyone else?
The same as everyone else. We had a big orchard, a very big orchard that went down at the back of a place called Shea Hands now. It went down along at the back of that, the whole way down. So, and we had stables there as well. Even though it was in the town, we had stables there too.
Were there any horses?
Yes, of course, yes, yeah.
What are their names?
Well, we had a lot of different horses. We had a horse called Flash and a horse called Bruno, and that's all I can. And lots of other names.
What was your family? How big was your family? How much brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and one of my brothers was killed when he was 6 years of age. And he was killed with a car. Just as you go up now where Joe Ahern has a shop, as you go up the rock, my dad had come home from the races and he went up to get an ice cream for 2 boys, and he told them to stay outside and he'd bring them out. And a farmer had gone into the vet and the handbrake slipped on his car and the car crushed my brother.
What was your brothers and sisters' names?
My brother that was killed was James. My other brother was John. And my older sister was Eleanor, and then I had Nora and Mary.
What was your earliest childhood memories?
Well, the first one I suppose was just going up the rock to play, and then my brother being killed. But then I remember going to the cinema, it was just across the road from us, and we were allowed to go to a matinee on a Sunday afternoon. And they're nearly my earliest childhood memories, and getting my first pony and things like that.
What was the first pony's name?
Duffy.
Duffy.
Yes, because he was a piebald pony, and when a friend of my dad saw him, he said, "Oh, it's Duffy's circus coming to town," because it was like the ponies that used to be in the circus.
What games or things do you not see children playing around today, but they did when you were young?
Tennis, I suppose, and hurling. The boys actually hurled on the street in Ladies Well because the traffic was very scarce, and they were able to hurl up against the terrace wall, and they'd shout if they heard a car coming, and the cars were very scarce. So,
did you ever go to primary school?
Yes, of course.
What was your favourite teacher there? If you had any.
I have to think hard about that one now, because I don't know had I any favourite teachers really. I was taught by the nuns, the presentation nuns. So a nun called Sister Emmanuel was
your
my favourite, yes.
So what was your favourite subject back then?
Maths.
Maths.
Yes, just arithmetic in those days, that's all we called it.
Do you have what other subjects did you do?
In primary school?
Yeah, English.
We did English and Irish and religion and arithmetic. That's all we did in primary school.
And what did you do?
We did history when we did history, a little bit of history when we got into 5th and 6th.
And what sort of subjects did you do in secondary school?
Just history, geography, Latin, domestic science and maths.
What was Latin like?
It was hard, and but it's the basis of an awful lot of other languages. So we had, in those days, you had to learn it if you wanted to go to university. If you wanted to become a pharmacist or a doctor, you had to have Latin.
What job did you get after you left school? What did you do after you left school?
I did a commercial course, so I did secretarial work, accounting.
Accounting, did you like that job?
I loved it, yes.
Did you ever have a special food that you ate at certain times of the year, like Easter or Christmas? Did you ever eat a special food at then?
Well, of course, we had turkey at Christmas, just turkey. At that time, you didn't have turkey at the other times of the year. You just had turkey at Christmas, plum pudding, the usual. And at Easter, then you just had, you were very lucky to get an Easter egg, and you fasted for 40 days, like before Easter Sunday. So people ate eggs then, ordinary eggs, on Easter Sunday morning.
Did you have Pancake Tuesday?
We did have Pancake Tuesday, yes.
Did you like the pancakes?
Of course, I loved them, yes.
Back then, what was the more drunken type of drink? Non-alcoholic drinks or alcohol? What did the adults have?
Well, alcoholic drink was Guinness, mostly. That was the most popular one. And we just had water to drink. And at Christmas you got lemonade, and at Easter you got lemonade maybe.
Okay.
But at Christmas you look forward to getting the lemonade. Yeah, you can laugh now, but it wasn't funny then. I remember the lemonade coming up to the house. The barman would deliver the lemonade in 2 cases. You'd have a case of orange and a case of lemonade. There were 24 bottles in each case. And they would be put under the stairs, and I remember getting so excited, calling my sister to say that the lemonade had come, but we wouldn't touch it until Christmas morning. We wouldn't even ask, we were just delighted and waited for it on Christmas morning. Yeah, no wonder you'd shake your head. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking how
different it is now.
Yeah, how it just changed. What kind of clothes did you wear back then?
Well, for school we wore a uniform, and other than that it was just dresses, and girls didn't wear trousers or slacks unless that if you were riding or that you wore riding gear.
How did you get around when you were young? What was the transport like?
You walked or you had a bicycle. We had a car, but you walked to school and you walked from school. You came home for your lunch. You were allowed home at lunchtime if you were living in the town. Yes.
So what occasions would you use to drive around in the car?
On a Sunday in the summertime, we went to Clonea, or we went up the V, which was a popular place to go in those days. And that's the only place. Then we went visiting maybe up to relations. We had relations up near Nina, up near Lough Derg. We went up there on holidays.
How did you find about the national news and what was happening around the world back then?
Well, if you wanted to, you listened to the radio, but some people didn't have a radio. And the newspapers were mostly the means of information about things that happened.
How expensive were newspapers?
2 old pennies, I can remember. 2 old pennies.
Is there any traditions you used to do back then that you don't do now?
We weren't allowed to have meat on a Friday of any kind, and not even sausages or anything like that. You didn't eat them on a Friday. Other than that, traditions, we had kind of dancing maybe in houses if you had a party. And when I went on holidays, the country people used to come to the house to play cards, and they had music in the houses and they danced.
How much do you think has Cashel changed over your lifetime? Do you think the changes have been for good or for bad?
Well, there have been some huge changes in Cashel. Number one, all the traffic passing through town now, and all the shops that have opened, and there are lots of tourists now. We didn't have so many tourists then, and lots of tourists. I think maybe it's good if people had respect for everything. Everything would be very nice. Respect for their places there where they have plants and flowers, and if young people had, back then we had to have a lot of respect for older people, for our teachers and parents and everything.
Have you retired from your job, or have you, or are you still working in your job?
Oh no, I retired years ago when I got married because we were farming, and I worked on the farm then.
So thanks for doing this interview, and it's just a little piece. This video will be made available for future generations to see what Cashel was like for a child and young adult during the 1940s and 50s and beyond. Do you have any final words for the people who will be watching this recording?
It's just that I hope that I gave you a kind of a correct
You will?
view of Cashel, and hope that people enjoy Cashel as much as I did when I was young.
Okay.
And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.